Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Z Garcia.
And I'm Chris Yee.
Today we're taking a look at Station to Station, a train game, railroading game, from designers Stephen Aramini and Johnny Pack, which is a weird combination. And the first thing that caught my eye about this game, because Johnny Pack makes really heavy, intricate games, almost too much for my brain. And then Stephen Aramini does like super simple, family level, quick kind of playing games, you know. So this combination was sending me for a loop, and I was very intrigued in it. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look first at how the game works, what's going on in it. We'll come on back. We'll tell you what we think of it. In the game, the players are trying to get the most victory points, and they will be getting those victory points by moving around their trains, buying resources at different locations, completing orders at those locations, and then using these orders as tickets in the various regions over here in the player area to hire workers and gain special bonuses and or victory points from them, going through various seasons in the game, trying to, at the end of all three of the seasons represented, have the most victory points on the victory point track around the board. So right now we are set up for summer, and we are set up for 3 players as well with their starting locations out here in these corner cities. And then we've got the bag here, which is going to have a few more of these summer tiles that were randomly seated out here. Once these tiles run out, then we are going to throw in a prepared stack of some autumn tiles, and then once these run out of the bag, then we'll do winter, and after that, the game will be over, all right? So I'm not even going to set those out. I'm just going to show you a little bit what's going on. Turn order is broken down right here. I'm going to be using that mainly to show you how the game works. And then a couple of areas I want you to be aware of. Every player has an area that looks like this. You're going to have your board. You're going to have some starting money and some starting coal, as well as a couple of sort of tickets over here that you're trying to complete. They basically have connections, such as this one here, which shows Boston to Boise. And if you go to both of these locations, then you are going to complete this, get some victory points, get some money, and possibly then you'll take a new one up here and possibly complete that one in the future as well. We begin with one that you've already visited one of the 2 ends, your starting ticket, which also denotes where your locomotive begins. So I begin in Seattle, and I've already been there, so I use a cube to mark that I've already been there. If I ever make it to Atlanta, I'll complete this, okay? That's how that's going to work out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the turn breakdown here. The first phase is going to be the market phase, in which you may purchase goods. I am right here in Seattle. In Seattle, you see that they offer these 2 things. They have the lumber and that grain there. I can buy that for these prices. I can buy 2 of that grain for $3. I can buy 2 of the wood for $3 as well. The oil and the steel are a little more expensive. You can buy coal for $3. You can also import cargo, which means I can buy something that they don't have there, and it's going to cost me this value. If I want to buy steel, I can buy 2 steel for $5. I also, however, have to give up a coal for importing that in, and it reminds you right there. So that is the first step, market, fully optional, of course. Second part is travel. You have to travel. I am going to move along these routes that are printed here on the board. The first step is free. If I want to go farther than that, it's going to cost me coal. So, for example, I perhaps might purchase things here, like maybe I'll buy wood and maybe I'll import steel, assuming I have enough money, and then I'll travel to that location. Let's say if I wanted to keep going, I give this up, like I said, and I continue moving on. When I'm done moving, if there happens to be another player where I'm going, I cannot stop there. I am going to check if visiting this town manages to make any progress on one of my tickets here, but then I'll immediately move along. I cannot exceed the capacity of these locations, which is a single train. So I would immediately move again without it costing me anything, and pay coal to move farther if I so choose. But that's not going to happen for a while because we are all quite spread out. So that would be the traveling phase. After that comes the station/work phase, as seen here. So the station phase means I'm going to interact with that tile that is in that location. If I cannot or choose not to, then I'll do the work, which is right here, and I'm going to gain 2 coal, $5, or $2 and 1 coal, okay? So let's say, again, I spend the money to buy the 2 lumber there. That's $3, like so. I'm going to import steel. I'll pay 5 for that, and 1 coal, and I'll take steel. And all of these resources are things that I am grabbing with these little tokens. They sort of go after your locomotive here, like so. And you do have a limit, a capacity of 8 resources that you can haul behind you. So that's what my turn looks like right now. Then I'm going to move. Like I said, I would move to there. Then I'm going to station or work. I'm going to deal with that station because I now have the 2 lumber and I have the 1 steel, which is the requirement for this location. You'll see there that's what it requires. And then a reward at the bottom, $8 and 1 coal or 5 victory points. I get to choose which one I want to do. Money can be quite tight at the beginning of the game, so perhaps that's what I'll do. And then once that's done, I'll flip this over and it becomes a ticket. And that ticket is going to go in the region on my player board where I acquired that. As you see now, it's in the west region, right? Western region, denoted there. Also the yellow area. So I'm going to take this ticket and I'm going to put it right there. Obviously, after spending the cost and from these, pieces here, these 2 and this would go away, and gaining my reward. Okay, after I do that, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to put it right there. Then comes the optional phase for crew/caboose. So, acquiring crew, which are these people over here, I'll be able to do this 4 times in the game. They have an associated cost in these tickets that is right here. So right now I've got 1 Western region ticket. So I could hire this person right here because it costs 1 Western ticket or 2 of anything. And you'll see that holds true for everybody. These are all level 1 workers. These are all level 2 workers. They're a little bit harder to acquire. And so perhaps I'm willing to do that. Perhaps I'll give this up and I will hire this person and just put them down here anywhere. There's no correlation of where the tickets came from to where the person goes. This person is going to have a special ability that says I can choose to give up steel to take one of the other things. So in a pinch, once per turn, every time I'm up, I can choose to do this, and I would just, maybe exhaust her and choose to do that conversion. There's quite a few different abilities that the people have. Sometimes they'll let you move farther. They'll let you trade money for coal, buy resources more cheaply than the place would give them to you, things like that. And when that's done, if I chose to hire the crew or the caboose is this right here, by the way, and it just means 1 of each ticket from my player area, and I get 10 victory points. If you're the first one to do it, you get 10. Later on, the victory points get a little bit lower. Well, I can only do 1 of those things again, hire someone or take 1 of those. The last thing is simply cleaning up, in which I'm going to reach in the bag, pull out a tile, replace that location like so, and it'll be the next player's turn. If the bag is empty, like I said, then we move on to the next season. And during the next season, we'll put the tiles in the bag, and also some of the remaining tiles will kind of level up. You'll take the tiles and flip them over to the other side where they become a little bit better, okay? Now, I've only explained 1 kind of tile out here, these orders that you complete and then get a reward and get a ticket. But there's a couple of different ones that are available. There are some that are discounts, permanent discounts for the rest of the game. So for example, let me see, pick a very, very easy one here. This tile here is going to give me a discount of oil from the moment I have this until the end of the game. For every order I make, I can have a discount of 1 oil per order, okay? And so I can choose to hitch this up to my train and keep it for the rest of the game. It does not count against my 8 capacity limits. Some of them are going to have multiple things, in fact, like this one here gets me 1 discount in the grain or the lumber, but again, only one of those every time I complete an order. And these are going to flip over and become better for the next season. They give you a discount of anything if it's still around, and it flips over with the season. The final type of tile out here, besides these orders and these sort of discount bonuses, are one-time benefits, and that would look like this. If I go there, I simply take this tile, I get $5, 1 victory point, and then I discard that tile. It's nothing else. If it's still around for the next season, it just becomes a little bit better. And again, you do it, it goes away. So that is what the board looks like, and that's a breakdown of the turn order. There's a few other minor rules, like every time you go to one of the coastal regions, they'll have this symbol here, and they'll get you 1 coal, the ones on this side and the ones over here, again, the coasts. Every time you travel, you want to make sure that you check if you are making any progress on your tickets here, and if you complete both ends, you visited both ends, then you're going to get the reward and replenish that. The starting one is going to be one of these tickets in and of itself. Once you complete this is going to become any one of these little stubs, and you can use that towards, again, a caboose or hiring somebody. That's just your starting one, and it reminds you right across the bottom here. All the other ones just give you points and money. But that's generally the flow of the game. Things get a little bit tougher to complete. The values, of course, go up throughout the seasons. So there you go. That should give you an overview of how the game moves along, of what is happening during those turns, and what you are attempting to do in order to get the most points and ultimately win. Let's go ahead and go back up top. I think generally speaking, I like the idea of train games more than I like train games.
Okay.
As a matter of course, right? Obviously, there's going to be exceptions to that. But I like that idea of, it's old world, it's kind of old-timey, it's the soot and the coal and the choo-choo and the industry, and all those things. I like the idea of them more than I tend to like games, sort of what comes out of a game about that.
I see.
There's Ticket to Ride, I like that, and there's a couple of other ones, but generally, the games don't really end up being for me. Except in a few instances, and in this case. This game is kind of exactly what I wanted it to be. It's a game that manages to bring together a few different mechanical concepts, throw them into the pot, stew them all up together, but none of them kind of pull focus from the other ones, I thought.
I think that's a good way to put it, right? At the beginning, you mentioned these 2 designers have kind of... Johnny Pac's done some simpler games, but what I tend to think of him are more elaborate games. A lot of kind of layered mechanisms and stuff. And Stephen Aramini, kind of the opposite. And I think that they find a nice balance in that there's a lot of mechanisms going on in this game, but I like the way that you put it. They don't pull focus from each other. They're very cohesive, and they're not overwhelming.
And you have plenty of things to worry about, so you yourself are given plenty of choices, and yet the game, I find, manages to stay light. It's a game that moves along at a nice clip. It doesn't get bogged down in any one of its ideas. You can pick up, buy, go somewhere, deliver that. On top of that, you are connecting places by just kind of visiting both and then completing a ticket, a la Ticket to Ride a little bit. You are hiring people that you're putting into place. How do you hire them? By completing the deliveries, which become tickets, and those tickets are how you hire the different helpers. It sounds more intricate than it feels. That's the thing.
Yeah.
As I'm playing the game, I'm like, okay, on my turn, I can buy the stuff. I go choo-choo over there, and I deliver it. Or I work and just get $5, because I have nothing to do. And I really like the way that the cadence of this game is incredibly, almost relaxing. It's like disarmingly simple, and belies the interest in the game. It has a little bit of splendor in it with those discounts.
Okay.
You know, the idea of taking those tiles, it's like, from now on, every time I deliver, I have a 1 discount of iron. Great. You know, and you can go into that and worry about sort of just hoarding up as many discounts as you can. And then on top of that, the passage of the seasons, which is hinted at here on the cover, I find pretty cool and a very easy way for them to turn up the heat, so to speak. You know?
Right. Spaces become more valuable because you replace the tile when you leave a spot, which I like that little. I mean, it's a small element, right? But you don't know what that spot's going to be until you leave it.
Right.
And it creates a little bit more intrigue on other people's turns. We're like, okay, well, Z's about to move. And, you know, he'll do his thing, but I want to know what he just left.
Right.
It kind of creates those opportunistic moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you replace them, and the whole map doesn't change. I like that you don't just wipe it, grab the entire spring or summer bag now, and, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a slow progression from one season to the next. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very smooth that way, too. It's not broken into, like, discrete seasons or anything like that. It just kind of slowly turns to autumn.
Yeah.
Kind of like in real life, right?
Yeah,
you start seeing the leaves brown little by little.
Yeah, I like the way that it plays out. It's a game that also, in my opinion, did not overstay its welcome. I think it's pretty punchy. Like, you go, you know, you'll adjust the tiles for the player count, but it'll sneak up on you a little bit, and I'd rather have that feeling in a game than one that sort of languishes, and you're going, okay, when's the end game trigger going to happen? Or you have to ask, how's it end again? Because I'm feeling it. This game will get there quickly. It gets there satisfactorily. I like a lot of what it's doing. I like the characters you hire. Those are fun. They're a little sort of rules bending or breaking, or the stage 2 people do a lot of endgame scoring for you. Is there anything about it that stood out to you that you weren't thrilled with?
I think a thing to be aware of is this is not one of those games that necessarily has a huge ramp up in terms of your later turns. There's a subtle engine building aspect to it, and there's that subtle the seasons change, and some of those last spots are worth a lot of points, right?
Sure.
Or worth kind of big moves, but it doesn't necessarily feel like what you're doing at the end of the game is much different from what you're doing early in the game. I think you have to be okay with the fact that it's a little bit more of a subtle ramp up, as opposed to certain games where it shoots up, or the tension shoots up, I think, right?
I think I agree with that, yeah. You can't look down at the end of the game and go, I built this empire. Yeah, it's kind of subtle. You can only ever have 4 people, right? So that's not going to feel tremendous. I agree with that. One small issue I have is a component issue, though I like the components and the look of this game quite a bit. I don't love that the things you're buying, the steel, the grain, whatever the 4 resources are, that they are painted on wagons, and then you're meant to arrange them behind your train, behind your locomotive.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fiddly. And I would much rather, honestly, maybe even have little decks of cards of each of them. I don't know. You have to remember, I think it's meant to be like a visual aid of like, you can have 8 things, but putting them in place, discarding them, buying again, and sort of, arranging them and pushing them over again becomes a little fiddly. Again, it's a minor quibble. But for the sake of it looking like a little choo-choo train, you're making me manage bits and arrange them without any real reason.
I suppose, yeah. I am grateful that there's not this weird, order that you have to do them in. So
That's true.
It is just a kind of an aesthetic. It looks like a train.
Yeah. And then you get the discount ones, and they don't count towards the 8.
Yes.
And that throws me for a loop then, because am I putting them outside my cute little cardboard frame so that it doesn't mess with my counting? That I find kind of fiddly, yeah.
The one physical component thing I find is that at the end of season, I guess I misspoke, there's some of the tiles out there will flip. So they'll go from spring to summer tiles, or summer, right? And some of those are harder to find.
That's true.
I think they have a symbol or a marking or some sort of designation, and most of the time I end up just kind of going, okay, this one flips.
Yes, I agree. It's sort of, it's not as obvious, like flip this to this season. Like, I know sometimes in the middle season you'll flip and you're like, oh no, that one's going back. But never mind, leave it alone. That one's going to the first season. It's just no one's picked it up yet. So I agree with that, yeah. Final thoughts. What do you think about this one?
This is a very fun game for me. Score-wise, I'm coming in. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think that it's a very smooth and very pleasing experience. There is going to be some ramp up, right? There is enough for me that it makes me say, I want to play this one more. You can play one game and get a bunch of those discounts so that you are somehow magically fulfilling contracts by just driving your train into town. And people are like, whoo,
yeah,
all right, the train showed up. You don't have to unload any lumber.
Yeah.
Here's a huge contract.
Right.
And when you do that, you do feel powerful. I like that. Or you can get 4 of those engineers that have really cohesive powers that feel good.
Yeah.
This is a game worth coming back to. You can feel yourself getting better and having that flow. I like all the different little aspects of it, and it just, it sails smoothly for me.
I keep coming back to it being a really good stew of varying ideas that I didn't necessarily expect to work so elegantly and so well together. Because you're right, that whole, you can just sort of target those discounts and become just a machine at fulfilling those contracts. But the game feels short enough where you won't sort of, if it kept going, you'd run away with the game. Because the rest of the players would just have to actually pay for the things they're completing. And so I love that somebody can do that. They can make a great showing, but it's not necessarily a blowout victory. They might not win by doing that.
Yeah.
And they are short on money because they haven't been fulfilling contracts, so they haven't been able to do that. And if they're not completing contracts, you're just getting discounts. You're not getting tickets to hire the people. So clever, so intricate, and yet I can feel the designer's hands polishing and smoothing things down until the clarity of purpose really speaks to me. I really like this game. I was intrigued when I first heard about it, again, based on the designers and kind of based on the pictures. It's a bit of an older looking game. It has that sort of train games are for boring adults kind of look. But I dare you to try this one if you like pick up and deliver or just, kind of resource management, recipe fulfillment, and not feel tension. Because I think it is very tense and I think it's really well put together. For me, I'm coming down at a 9 on this one. I really, really like it. It's again, I'm sometimes sort of let down by the idea of, I like the idea of train games, but the implementation, I'm like, this is kind of boring. This is sort of spreadsheet-ish. I don't really want to do that. This isn't what I was hoping it would be. This is what I was hoping it would be. All the parts here work together in tandem incredibly well for me, and I can pick a strategy, run with it, and see how I do, and that feels fantastic. So yeah, for me, Station to Station, 9 out of 10, 7.5. That is going to be a seal of excellence, folks, from us here at the Dice Tower. So check this one out if the theme intrigues you or just a good pick up and deliver game. They're hard to come by, honestly. So there you go. That's going to do it. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. My name is Z Garcia.
And I'm Chris Yeh.
Chew. Go get them.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.